Yep. I know you got to get out of here in about 5 minutes, but I do want to ask you this because there's been a lot of discourse over the course of the last week about like the state of college basketball and what NIL
Uh-oh.
means and what all of
Uh-oh.
these all this transfer portal stuff
Yeah.
means.
Yeah.
One thing that I do think is important to note, like when we're talking about NIL money that Oscar's getting, it's not technically NIL money. It's basically like these collectives get put together by these schools where you more or less get a slush fund that can help pay out money to these players. So it's almost like the schools are paying them, but they're not really paying them. You know what
Right.
I mean?
Right.
It's not like they're necessarily doing stuff for NIL because the NCAA hasn't defined it. On the one hand, that kind of creates a situation where it's more or less pay for play. On the other hand, the NCAA
Of
hasn't
course it is.
put any kind of they haven't actually defined what NIL is, which kind of creates a situation. At the same time, that is why these guys are able to go into the portal and it creates all of this offseason movement, but it also keeps some of these great players coming back. So where do you stand on what the state of the sport is, the health of the sport? Because I think overall it's not a perfect system, but right now, as of today, when we get the National Player of the Year coming back to school, how can you say it's a bad thing for the game? It can be fixed, but I think we're heading in the right direction. No.
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's changed and more like I just feel like there's so many things that have changed quickly. Um, the transfer portal probably is worse to me than the NIL. Like the NIL is good. Like the kids are making money. That's fine. Like I have no issue with the NIL. The transfer portal is the part that kind of is just, these kids that are at like four different schools in 4 years, and you're talking about a deadline of May 1st right now, or else you can't get the one-time transfer waiver. But I don't know if the NCAA is going to stand true to that because kids are going to threaten to sue them or whatever. And you could. Devin Askew is a great example, right? He left Kentucky for Texas last year. He leaves Texas. He's going to go somewhere else. Does he just get a waiver? Does the NCAA just start handing out waivers and eventually say, you know what, transfer as many damn times as you want? Again, it's changed how we cover this sport. And instead of knowing who's coming back and knowing these kids and them being in a situation that a little more stable and the fans get to know them and we get to know them, they're bouncing all over the place. I don't even know. It's easy to keep up with 30 NBA. Well, I shouldn't say it's easy. It's not as easy to keep up with 30 NBA rosters anymore with free agency. Well, now try to keep up with 350 Division One rosters. It's
It's not possible.
impossible.
It's not
Right. It
possible.
just, I mean, unless you're Sean Paul, you have no chance of keeping up with this thing. And that, again, it's just frustrating to somebody like me who, when I got in, you kind of knew who was going to be there. There might be a few changes. And coaches are, listen, they're not going to say it publicly. They can't, but they are worn down from this. They're telling me over and over it's not a lot of fun to navigate the portal. And there's just going to be a lot of mistakes being made on both ends, both sides for the portal. Coaches taking kids that they don't know anything about. Kids going to situations that they have no idea what they're getting themselves into.
Yeah, because the recruiting process, instead of being over the course of a year and a half, 2 years, is like a week. You enter the portal, you
Right.
declare, and you commit in a week or two. I
Yep.
will just say this: I do think we need to find a new normal for the portal, and it's not going to be possible at a time when the portal is new, NIL stuff
Right.
is new, this money
Right.
is new. We have a glut of players in here that
Yeah.
are getting like 6th years. We have all of these
Yeah.
transfers that
Yeah.
are coming back for another season, people that are eligible immediately,
Well,
and
that's in
you
that,
have
Rob.
two.
That
The other big thing, Goodman, you have two recruiting classes that were totally fucked up in terms of
right. Yes.
evaluations by all
Yes.
of these guys coming in. And now it's going to get extended because you have all these guys in the class of 2022,
Yeah.
2023,
Yeah.
2024 that are going to be under recruited and at a lower level because these coaches were out there targeting players in the transfer portal. So I
Well,
think there's a 4-year window we got to deal with and just get through. But once we get
yeah.
through that and we kind of get to a regular system, it'll figure itself out. Does that make
Yeah. I mean,
sense?
listen. Yeah, to some degree. I mean, listen. It's and like you said, the kids getting the extra year. There's probably 100 kids in the portal right now that are seniors that are saying to themselves, I'll throw my name in the portal. And you know what? If I get the right situation, I'll go transfer. But otherwise, I'm going to move on and start my career, whether it's pro career overseas or start my career outside of basketball. So I think the number is inflated right now. But again, there's been a lot of changes quickly in college basketball. And you know who has not helped? The NCAA. They haven't helped worth a shit. So I think if they had gotten ahead of this NIL thing, the other part is it's not apples and apples. What schools can do. Different states have different rules. Different schools have different rules. So, some guys can't even actively participate in NIL. Other coaches can. I mean, that's the shit show that it's become right now.
Yeah. Well, listen, I know you have to get back to waiting tables. You are you're taking your break from your shift as a server right now to be able to jump on the stream.
Yeah.
You're getting roasted in the chat for that, for being looking like you're a waiter right now on your break.
Well, I'm meeting somebody for lunch before the Celtics game tonight. So I literally came to my old stomping grounds in Sheraton in Boston, where I think I did like maybe some of my first interviews going back as a kid. You know who I interviewed at the Sheraton years ago? Derek Smith, the late Derek Smith.
I was going to say, if you tell me the James Worthy story again, I'm ending this stream right now.
No, Derek Smith. Derek Smith. I was like 16, 17 years old, and he came in playing the Celtics. And it's, for those who don't know, it's Nolan Smith's father who played at Louisville. And he sat down with me for an hour for lunch when I'm telling you I was like 16, 17 years old. And as classic guys you will ever be around, the late Derek Smith.
Yeah, well, listen, I'm glad that you were able to sit here and join us. Can you please stop cursing out Kyrie so he stops flipping people off in the crowd? That was you that was doing that, right?
Yeah. If somebody, if Kyrie runs up in the stands, it won't be me. It won't be me. He's running out there. Trust me. I promise.
The rest of your fellow Bostonites and your fellow
I'll behave myself.
Are a little bit worse than you. Listen, Goodman, I'll let you get to your lunch, man. I appreciate the time.
Can I just say you sucked, Oster?
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to, instead of I'll get it all out of my system right now so I don't say you suck to Kyrie. I'm just going to say you sucked, Oster.
Yeah, I do. I'm the worst. I'm the worst. Listen, it's been fun. Go to your lunch, man. Stop trying to keep talking. I'm trying to get you out of here so you can be so you're not going to be late later.
Yes, I'm good. Later.